Have you ever woken up at 2 in the morning, not from a nightmare, but from the soft glow of a phone screen, only to see a message that shatters your entire world? I did, and that was the night I realized my life was a lie. Single text, not meant for my eyes, became the first note in a symphony of betrayal. What did it say? Well, that's where our story begins. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel, tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. My name is Mark. For 10 years, I believed I had it all. Loving wife Sarah, a beautiful brownstone in Lincoln Park. Chicago, right off Armitage Avenue, and a stable career that allowed us to live comfortably. I thought our marriage was a fortress, built on a foundation of trust and shared dreams. I was the guy who brought her coffee in bed, who remembered our anniversary without a calendar reminder, who believed her when she said she was happy. How wrong I was. The change was subtle at first, little things. But she started insisting on me time, which I fully supported. She decided to pick up a new hobby, piano lessons. I thought it was wonderful. We even bought a beautiful baby grand piano that took up a good portion of our living room. It felt romantic, a new chapter. Her teacher, a man named Julian, would come to our house twice a week for evening lessons. He was one of those artsy types, with longish hair and a way of speaking that always sounded like he was sharing a profound secret. I'd come home from work, and the sound of scales and simple melodies would fill the house. I'd smile, make dinner, and feel a sense of pride. My wife, creating music. Then the lessons started running late. What was supposed to be an hour session would stretch into 2, then 3. When I'd poke my head in, they'd be laughing, a little too closely, over the sheet music. Sarah would wave me away dismissively, saying, "Mark, we're in the middle of a complex piece. Can you give us some space?" I'd retreat, feeling like an intruder in my own home. My gut started twisting into a knot. I'd hear them talking in low voices, the piano silent for long stretches. I told myself I was being paranoid, insecure. She was just passionate about her new hobby. I had to trust her. But the oddities piled up. She became protective of her phone, which was always face down on the table. She started dressing up for her lessons, wearing perfume and dresses I hadn't seen in years. When I complimented her, she'd say, "Oh, this old thing." I just felt like it. There was a new light in her eyes, but it wasn't for me. She grew distant, cold. Our conversations became transactional, about bills and groceries. When I tried to touch her, to be intimate, she'd recoil, claiming she was tired or had a headache. The woman I married was disappearing, replaced by a polite, guarded stranger who lived in my house. The night it all broke was a Tuesday. I woke up around 2 a.m., thirsty. As I walked past the living room, I saw her phone light up on the coffee table. A text preview glowed on the screen. It was from Julian Piano. I know I shouldn't have, but I couldn't stop myself. My hand trembled as I picked it up. The message read, "Still thinking about tonight? Your husband is a fool. Can't wait until you're mine completely." I felt the air leave my lungs. Fool, that's what I was. I stood there in the dark, the words burning into my memory. My first instinct was to storm into our bedroom, throw the phone at her, and scream. But as I stood there, shaking with a rage so cold it felt like ice water in my veins, another thought surfaced. Screaming would give her the satisfaction of a dramatic scene. It would allow her to play the victim, to twist the narrative. No, she didn't deserve a quick, loud explosion. She and her smug piano man deserved a slow, meticulous ruin. The fortress of our marriage was a lie, so I would become a saboteur. That night I didn't sleep. I went back to bed, lay beside her, and pretended to be the same loving, oblivious husband. The next morning I made her coffee, just like always. She smiled, a fake, practiced smile, and I smiled back, feeling a darkness bloom inside me. My performance had begun. The first step was gathering undeniable proof. I installed discreet monitoring software on our home computer and a tiny audio recorder near the piano. It felt disgusting, a violation of the very idea of home, but she had already burned that sanctuary to the ground. I was just documenting the ashes. The recordings were sickening. I listened to them in my car during my lunch break, my knuckles white on the steering wheel. I heard them flirt. I heard him insult me, calling me predictable and boring. I heard them plan their future, laughing about how they'd travel with my money once she finally left me. The most damning part was when Sarah said, "Don't worry, Julian. I know how to handle Mark. He trusts me completely. I can get whatever I want from him." She was right. I had trusted her. I would use that trust as a weapon. My plan had two fronts: financial and social. Sarah had always handled our joint finances, and I'd never questioned it. Big mistake. I hired a forensic accountant, a discreet professional from a firm downtown on Wacker Drive. I told him my situation. He was clinical, professional. He found that for the past 6 months, Sarah had been siphoning money from our joint savings into a private account, thousands of dollars. She'd been funding her future with Julian using my hard work. The accountant prepared a detailed, legally airtight report. That was my first piece of ammunition. Next, I found a shark of a divorce lawyer. I laid everything out for her: the affair, the secret bank account, the recordings. She was impressed by my thoroughness. "Most people come in here with just tears," she said. "We've come with a tactical plan." We began preparing the divorce filings, timing them perfectly. The social part of the plan was more delicate. Sarah cared deeply about her reputation. She was on the board of a local charity and loved being seen as a pillar of the community. Her parents, who adored me, were wealthy and influential in their own right. Her father had helped me get my first big break in my career. Disappointing them was her greatest fear. I decided the perfect stage for my final act would be her parents' 40th wedding anniversary party. It was a huge event, 100 people at a fancy ballroom downtown. Sarah was glowing that night, schmoozing, looking every bit the perfect daughter and wife. She had even invited Julian. The arrogance was breathtaking. He was there, in a tailored suit, sipping champagne, shaking my hand, and calling me buddy. The whole time I just smiled. As her father was giving a toast about love, commitment, and family, I knew it was my time. I had arranged with the event coordinator to have a moment to say a few words. I walked up to the microphone, my heart pounding, not with fear, but with a chilling sense of purpose. "Good evening, everyone," I began, my voice steady. "I just want to echo what a beautiful testament to marriage we are celebrating tonight." I looked directly at Sarah. Her smile was radiant. She had no idea. Marriage is about trust, loyalty, and partnership. It's about building a life together. Sometimes we discover that the foundation we built on is nothing but sand. A nervous murmur went through the crowd. Sarah's smile faltered. "For the past 10 years, I thought I had that," I continued. "But I recently discovered that my partnership wasn't as exclusive as I believed. For instance, I didn't know our joint savings account was meant to fund a romantic future for my wife and another man." The room went silent. I saw Sarah's face drain of all color. Her father looked confused, then horrified. "And I certainly didn't know," I said, my eyes locking onto Julian, who looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole, that private piano lessons were a cover for a deep and passionate affair. An affair discussed in my own home, on my own piano. I let that hang in the air. Then I pulled a small stack of papers from my jacket pocket. "This is a copy of a forensic accounting report detailing over $50,000 transferred to a secret account. And this," I said, holding up a small USB drive, "contains audio recordings of my wife and her teacher, Julian, planning their life together using my money. Copies have already been sent to my lawyer and to Sarah's parents." I looked at her parents. Her mother's hand was over her mouth, tears streaming down her face. Her father's expression was pure fury, directed not at me, but at his daughter. Sarah just stood there, frozen, her public image shattering around her like broken glass. I placed the papers and the drive on the table. "Sarah," I said, my voice dropping to a near whisper, but amplified by the microphone. "You'll be served with divorce papers on Monday. Consider this my final lesson." I turned and walked out of that ballroom. I didn't look back. I could hear the chaos erupting behind me, but it sounded distant, like a scene from a movie. I walked out into the cool Chicago night, took a deep breath, and felt nothing. Not triumph, not sadness, just a vast, hollow emptiness. The revenge was complete. She had lost everything: her reputation, her family's support, and the money she tried to steal. Julian, I later heard, was fired from his teaching positions and became a social pariah. I sold the house, the brownstone that held so many fake memories. I even sold the piano. Now, I live in a quiet apartment overlooking the lake. The rage is gone. The heartbreak is gone. All that's left is the silence. Sometimes in the middle of the night, I can still hear the phantom notes of a piano, a simple, broken melody. The price of my revenge was the man I used to be. The end.